Well, welcome everybody, I'm Absurdum, and today we're going to talk about Stoneshard and the devlog that just came out, and I'm really excited, because once we start getting devlogs, that means that the patch isn't too far away, and we get to learn about some of the exciting things in more concrete format. Some of the first things they talk about is that the patches are going to start coming out in smaller patches, but more frequently, which I think is actually a really good idea, because a lot of times on the YouTube I'll get comments like, is this game dead? And I'll be like, no, it's not dead, it gets like at least 2 updates a year. And they're like, that's not that impressive. I was like, yeah, but they're really big updates. So I think breaking it down smaller will make it easier for the team, but also make the game seem a lot more alive when I'm like, yeah, the game gets 4 updates a year. It's going to be really good. I think it's going to really help the game out too, and get people more excited, keep people's attention better. Because anytime a patch comes out, that's when a lot more views come to my channel, because people really want to see what's going on with this game. And the more often that happens, I think the more that will be for the game, more people that will come in to come see it, which I think is really great. So they're going to break this patch into 2 parts. First one being Blood Omens, planned for early release of next year. But we don't know an exact date yet. That's fine. So they're going to do one big thing they're going to be doing is updating the Proselytes, which I think is really cool. And they've showed a lot of teasers of this. If you've been by the Discord or seen their Reddit, they've showcased a lot of it. But I love this. There's the fact that they're just kind of sitting here praying. But they talk about how they kind of pretty much overhauled a lot of the enemies. They're trying to make them a lot more unique and decrease the amount of repetitiveness that you see different enemies in the dungeon, which at first I was like, I don't feel like that's true. But then they said that and I was like, yeah, actually you do kind of see a lot of the enemies over and over again and kind of throughout the same dungeons. So you see here, they're showcasing a new boss here. It looks like he drops enemies, and if you let them sit there, then they'll turn into those kind of ghouls that explode. I don't remember what they're called. But that's really, really interesting, especially if you're playing a melee character like that. Because I don't know how you're going to just deal with all those ads coming on, but I guess we'll figure it out. Let's see here. You can see here it's really small, but can I not expand this? Cool. But this is the whole like array of kind of the revamp they're doing and rebalancing and stuff. So not only are they adding more, they're tweaking it a lot and kind of making them a lot more different from each other. So that's pretty exciting. Moving on, the really big thing that people are excited for is Slings, and I'm definitely excited for this. I think Slings are going to add a lot more versatility for doing like hybrid build or doing something that's ranged before going into like a melee combat. Plus, it's going to just be a lot more variation to the range combat. So it says here that all Slings have a higher stagger chance and bonus cooldown duration. Hand Slings in particular improve your attack's crit chance and boost stagger chance even further, while Staff Slings focus on stun chance and body part damage. I would assume that the hand slings are one-handed and the staff slings are two-handed, but I could be wrong. I don't know that. I don't know if it's going to really make a huge difference, but it'll be interesting to see how they kind of differ from each other. On the downside, slings have a mediocre effective range, as you should expect, limited armor pen, and poor accuracy. They represent their traditional real-life shortcomings. Taken together, this makes most of them a good choice for characters who want to briefly skirmish before moving into melee, though with proper investment into the range weapons abilities, they can be devastating. So you get a nice little preview of just all the different cool looking things. Art for this game is just amazing. One thing that's really cool about them is that there is a lot of different things you can use as ammunition. Compared to bows, they have much more ammunition, play more critical role. They have stones, they have bullets, they have lead shots, things of that nature. You can see here that he is throwing a firebomb, which brings a really interesting point. It was kind of mentioned in Reddit a little bit, and it was mentioned a little bit on my Discord, one of the devs, that you can pretty much use anything that you can throw, you can pretty much use a sling. So like, as far as I understand it, that means like any item that can be thrown, which is practically everything, you can put in your sling and chuck it at somebody. Whether that makes it a good idea or useful or not, it's, you know, not the same thing. But like, I can throw a skull or an empty flask at an enemy and do damage to him or hit him, but that doesn't mean it's an effective weapon. So I don't know if that's going to be really effective, but sure, you could take a piece of bread and throw it at somebody. Why not? It says here, each advanced ammo type provides special effects. Sling bullets boost your armor pen and body damage, which is really nice. Lead shots increase chances to daze, stun, and stagger. Furthermore, sling ammo is cheaper than arrows, which is pretty cool. And they break less often, which is also really cool. Combined with the higher durability of slings, this establishes their niche as a sustainable, enduring weapon. Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. It's going to be one thing I think it's going to help mix up gameplay a lot. Additionally, slings can be used to launch certain items, such as bombs and potions, with greater force and range. So that'll be nice. It looks like they're adding here a new quest. This appears to be the graveyard that they kind of added between Denbury and the Rotten Willow. We can visit now, but there's not really anything to do with it. Doesn't say much. It's a 2-stage quest. You embark and search for an ancient artifact, following a lead from a familiar acquaintance. Along the way, you encounter a pair of eccentric characters, and before long, the fate of them and the relic is in your hands. That's pretty cool. So it'll be nice to have something new to do, and if it gets us an artifact that's really useful, it'll be kind of fun to know that we can get it. Because right now, there's not too many artifacts that you can get guaranteed. Most of them are by chance random dungeon loot. So it'll be nice to have something that we could have access to that could potentially be very useful, and you know you can get it for your build. And then it looks like they're updating the lighting system. So this will be really interesting. I did see teased before that they made it so you can open the helms and stuff, which made me wonder if they were doing something with this, or if it would be having an effect with the lighting system and vision. But it's really cool. You can see the fact that they look different is awesome. And the fact that you can do it looks cool. So lighting will be expanded into full-fledged gameplay mechanic. Darkness during nighttime and in dungeons will begin to affect vision range and accuracy. So I think this is going to really impact ranged builds, and potentially make shorter ranges like slings or short bows even, potentially more useful at nighttime. You mean, what's the point of having 14 range if you can only see 6 tiles away? Because it's too dark. But it also affects enemies, which is really nice. These penalties can be mitigated with torches, whether purchased in advance, crafted by hand, or taken directly from dungeon walls. That's cool. We're going to be able to walk up and just rip things off of walls and use them. I hope to see more of that in the dungeons. As you would expect, the system is accompanied by a number of small additions and changes. These include, for example, the ability to raise visors and helmets, as I always spoke to, and to scare off animals using sources and open flames. That's pretty awesome. Especially the idea of trying to scale away certain animals with fire. That's pretty cool. So you can get pretty close to them before they notice because of the darkness. That's cool. Hopefully this really starts to work into what will someday soon be a better / more pertinent stealth system. Of course, there's new equipment to try to fill in the gaps of the current armor lineup. This is awesome. Love to see it. Looks like there's going to be a bit more, maybe medium and light gear. Same here. I would suspect this to be maybe medium and light as well. Maybe this is more heavy. I would expect this to be medium. So I love to see more gear that we can just get. That's really cool. In fact, some of these look like they could even be uniques. They're gonna do some other quality of life stuff too, which is really nice. Combat log overhaul will actually be something I kind of really appreciate, because sometimes the combat log is a little lacking. They're going to add proper logging for complex attack outcomes, expanded spell casting logs, improve the tracking of blocked damage, which will be really nice, and indirect damage sources. Hit chances and damage calculation rework. It says it addresses numerous issues and edge cases involving complex outcomes such as blocking critical hits and mixed physical magical damage, which they were already kind of messing with that a little bit in one of the previous updates. AI improvements, this will be interesting, because anytime they mess with the AI, it's always interesting how that's going to actually play out. Reworked the usage conditions for every skill and spell available to the enemies, resulting in significantly more logical and challenging decision makings on their part. This is good to see, because there's a lot of times that I can cheese ranged units into either falling into melee with me, or whatever the case. So if they're going to actually be smarter, that would be fantastic. Or do more complex things to try to draw me out, as opposed to when I can kind of reliably draw them in. That's going to make them a lot more viable as an enemy. But we'll see how it actually plays out. Numerous fixes and other quality lives made it possible to access the backpack while in another container already. This is huge, because it's one thing that really annoys me. In fact, I kind of assumed it was something that they weren't going to be able to do with the engine. A lot of times I'm in the middle of looting something. I want to get in my backpack so I can dump stuff in there or whatever, or put something in my... You can't do it, because once you're in the container, you can't open your backpack. And if you close that container, it closes all the inventory screens. So now you have to open them back up and then open your backpack. Is it a big deal? No. But is it nice to have? Yeah, this will be great. Allowed for the use of stored medical items and tools through the context menus without having to open the backpack. That's also really nice. You can keep all your medical supplies in your backpack or whatever medical backpack you have, and then use them from there. They don't have to be sitting in your actual inventory to use them. Improved item stacking algorithms and much more. Yeah, that's good stuff. So not a huge devlog so far, but really excited to see it. Really excited to see more. Look how cute this little artwork they did is. Super pumped about this, and super pumped that we're going to start seeing these more regularly. hoping in the next month or so, and I might be optimistic that maybe we'll get a firm release date, something that I would. But regardless, I'm really excited for this. I hope you are too. Let me know your thoughts. It's always great to hear from everybody. Please take care of yourself and stay safe, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.